Well, welcome to Coffee with the Pastor. Uh, I've been on COVID quarantine, according to Galveston County uh, Health. I can get off quarantine today. I'm still at home, but I'm going to try and go into the office a little bit today. I feel very fortunate. My COVID symptoms have not been as bad as most. I've not had the fever. I've not had the trouble breathing. But like most, I've had a little congestion, and I've been left with very low energy. But I'm going to try and start getting back at it a little bit. Probably going in the office a little bit today. I don't know that I'll last all day, but start kind of coming back gradually, and hopefully be able to preach Sunday and all. But I've been glad I have not had to miss any Coffee with the Pastor times. And so we'll continue today. We're in Genesis chapter 32. You remember when Jacob left his father Isaac's house, he left because Esau was wanting to kill him. And his mom sent him to her brother Laban to find a wife, be safe. And Rebekah said she would send word back to Jacob when it was safe. Well, she never has. But things were becoming continuous there with Laban's house. God had blessed Jacob. His wealth was becoming more than Laban's and his sons. And so he left. Laban and he have kind of worked out their terms, how they're going to treat each other. But God has told Jacob to go back to Bethel, go back to where he had an experience with God. And he goes back and he sees a place to camp. And it's called Mahanaim because he's going to have two camps there. The camps where the angels are. The first thing he does is he sends messengers ahead to Esau to tell him that Jacob's coming back. He doesn't know how Esau's going to greet him. And the messengers come back, and Jacob's scared by how Esau is acting, because Esau got 400 men and is coming after him. That would probably scare me too, knowing my brother wanted to kill me when I left, and now he's bringing 400 men with me to greet me. And so Jacob is concerned. So Jacob begins to conceive a plan. Jacob's very intelligent. He's shrewd. He's devious. He can manipulate with the best of them. And he's trying to devise a plan out. And he devises a plan. He's going to divide his camp. We'll see how that plays out later. He's going to divide his camp. He's not going to put everybody in one spot. He's going to string them out. He's going to give Esau a group of gifts to try and pacify him. And he's developing out this plan that might help him be able to escape. Even if Esau comes with violent intent, the back camp might be able to escape. You're going to see that Rachel and them will be in the back. We'll talk about that later. But he not only devises a plan with his fear, he prays. And I want to read this prayer. It begins in verse 9, and it's a great prayer. And he's scared. It says, "Then Jacob prayed, O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become two groups. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid. He will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper, and will make you descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted." He prays to God, and he says, God, I'm scared. I'm scared of my brother Esau. I'm afraid that he's going to attack me. I'm afraid his children's going to attack me. I'm afraid they're going to hurt. He says, and yet, you have promised me that I am going to have great descendants. They'll be greater than the sea. You've promised me. You're the one that told me to come back. And so he's really trying in his prayer to put his faith in God. And so after he gets the gifts lined out for his brother and everything, he has his family go across I believe it's the Jabbok fording river there. And he has them go across, and he stays by himself. And the Bible says there's a man that met him there. And he begins to have a wrestling match. And apparently it's a very even wrestling match because neither one can get the advantage on each other. Now, this is something I think is good of Jacob. Here's Jacob scared of his brother. He's really scared of God, that God's not going to do what he says. Yet he's holding his own in this wrestling match. He's holding his own. He's doing well. Now, understand, he calls him a man, but it's beginning to become morning, and this man says, you need to let me go. It's time for me to go. It's daybreak. It's time for us to quit. And Jacob says, I'm not letting go until you bless me. I'm not letting go until you bless me. And the man asked him, what's your name? Who are you? And he says, I'm Jacob. Jacob means heel grabber, deceiver, manipulator, all those bad things. And he says, the blessing is you'll not be known as Jacob anymore, but as Israel. Now, there's some debate about what Israel means. I believe it means God rules. Some believe it means God protects, God perseveres. But God rules. And then, of course, the man had touched Jacob's socket, made him limp for the rest of his life because of that. But he was spared. And after Jacob wrestled with this guy, he realized that he was not wrestling with man. He realized he was wrestling with God. Now, first of all, let's just realize Jacob would be no match for God. Sometimes God appears on our level and he appears for what we need. Jacob needed to wrestle with who he was. All of his life he had been a deceiver. He had been trying to prove himself. He had been really lack of faith, not living for God, even though God had promised him some things. He needed to know. And with the name change, he's not going to be known as deceiver anymore. He's going to be known as somebody where God rules his life. And it changes him. He's going to change. And he calls the place Peniel. Peniel means face. And because he says, I've seen the face of God and lived. He calls him Elohim. He says, I've seen the face of God and lived. One of the great things I think we have to do in our lives, sometimes we have to do our own wrestling with God, where we hang on to something until it blesses us. I know in preaching sometimes I'm going to preach on a passage and I don't quite get it. And I have to hang on to it and hang on to it and hang on to it until it blesses me. There are some times when God makes promises to us or when God's done things to us and we don't get it at first. We don't really, but we have to hang on. We don't let go. We don't let go until it blesses us. And that's the way it is with God. Sometimes we have to hang on. We have to persevere. Jesus says those who hang on to the end will be saved. We have to hang on. We have to persevere. We have to keep believing, keep hoping, keep having faith. And that would be my plea to you today. Keep having faith. Don't give up. Hang on. Hang on until God blesses you through whatever you're going through. Blessings to you today, and I'll see you tomorrow.